The power of positivity resonance. No, it's not something new age just cooked up, especially for the situation we're in. It's something that's very real. It's very scientific. It's been studied. It's something that my friend Lisa Dunbar out in Charlotte, North Carolina, was telling me about. And before we get into positivity resonance, Lisa, what's the story behind your coffee cup this morning? You've got to tell that story a little bit, because I think one of the things about what we're doing here is we got to be able to share a little bit behind what our coffee cups say about us. So
Yeah.
you go
Okay. So
first.
go ahead. I'll go ahead. You may not be able to see this. This is a fox. It kind of goes with our subtext of love because it was given to me by a very dear friend who was trying to lift me up. And it's a fox, she said, for a foxy lady. But it was really just a big hug.
So those are
It
the
makes
things.
me think of her when I use this mug, and I kind of laugh at the whole thing, foxy lady, but it's cute.
So it wasn't so much the Jimi Hendrix version of Foxy Lady that was in Wayne's World. It was something else altogether.
Exactly.
Well, one of the things we want to talk about, Lisa, and a little bit about your background. You're with Paradigm Personality Labs. You folks are in different parts of America studying personality, human behavior, how it works within organizations. Your expertise is very well documented, and so before we dig into the power of positivity resonance, just explain maybe a high level overview, a little bit about what you do and your expertise, because I think people are going to be fascinated by what they learn here today.
Okay, great. So I am going to let you know that Paradigm is actually in 6 continents. We have a distribution network, so we're all over the globe, and we've got distributors and specialists all over. So we specialize in personality for the workplace. We believe that getting people to fit with their jobs, with their organizations, the right people on the bus makes all the difference in our organizations. And also it's a dual purpose. Not only does it help organizations, it helps individuals, helps them to thrive at work by understanding their personality and how they derive energy from their work.
Yeah, and how they fit, and because no one wants to feel like you're out of place. So the reason I bring it up, Lisa, is like I said, you've been knee deep in the study of human behavior, workplace cultures, and now we're into this whole thing where we're all working from home. And when you were telling me this last week, it just clicked in terms of positivity resonance. So let's begin with the obvious, which is, how would you define, anyone watching today, what is positivity resonance? And then why does it matter?
Okay, so it was a phrase that kind of dropped into our conversation, right? And I'm not going to take ownership of this phrase at all. It came from Barbara Fredrickson and this book that she has, Love 2.0. And I don't know if you can see here, but I have earmarks all over. Every once in a while you read a book, and I read it in the context of work that makes a difference. We'll talk about what this love actually means and her idea of positivity resonance. But this is one of these books that has just made a difference in how I think about interactions, and it's related to our work, but it's also related to who we are in a larger sense. So when she talks about positivity resonance, she's really talking about so first of all, love is an emotion, right? And like all other emotions, they don't last very long. They last like 15 seconds, and then we go on to our next emotion. It feels good, right? That emotion of love feels good. And what she looked at it from a very physiological basis and from a scientific basis. And she said positivity resonance, or this version love, occurs when we're sharing positive emotions. Okay, so let's say, I think this happened for you and I, Gary, when we first met. We start and that's kind of your way. You establish connection with someone. You start, then it's a little bit more difficult in this virtual space, but then we make eye contact. Look at us trying so hard to make eye contact right now.
That's
Like,
a
where's the button? Do I look at your eyes here? Or do I look up there?
yeah, that's
Because it's
exactly it.
critical.
Yeah.
That's how we engage and start this process. And then from there, it's any of the, like, I notice a lot of times when I'm Zooming, if someone's like this, I suddenly do this too. It's like that mirroring that we're trying to do physiologically to connect with each other. We are so hardwired for it. It's syncing. So it's not just the eye contact, it's the smile.
Right.
So right now, you're smiling, what we call, there's 50 different types of smiles. And the brain is really good at using these little micro moments to detect, is this a good, is this a real smile? So one of the ways that we know that is a smile called the Duchenne Smile. And it's when we're smiling not only with our mouth, but with our eyes.
What do you call, sorry, what's that smile again? Because in this culture of Zoom, that smile suddenly became more important.
Oh, you can't fake it. Duchenne. It means your eyes are going like the, you get the crinkles in your eyes.
Right.
Yeah, and your eyes and your mouth are smiling at the same time.
Okay. So right now, are we kind of sort of practicing positivity resonance for the whole world to see?
Oh yeah, we're bouncing off of each other right now. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
And you get this flood, this biological flood going on in your body. Now it doesn't last forever. You have it. It can be in the grocery store with the checkout clerk, but you have these opportunities to create that field with someone. So the reason why, the third component of it too is mutual care and concern. Okay, and I think that has been established within the field, as you and I have been talking as well, right? Like, you genuinely want well-being for the other. So there's that element of sincerity that comes into it too. But we can have that at the checkout at the grocery store, right? Any of those small moments of connection, and I think all of us can easily access a time where we were talking with someone in the most random situation, and we walk out of it feeling changed somehow. And it may have only lasted for a couple minutes. That's the positivity resonance.
So in non-scientific terms, without getting into mirror neurons and the 50 different ways we smile, and what is it again? The Duchenne,
yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
right? What it is, though, it's this, is it basically, is it as simple, Lisa, is this understanding, hey, we feed off each other, both good and bad? Is that basically what we're talking about? And we have the ability, the actual inborn ability, and science proves it, to create a more positive world around us.
Yeah. And the reason why I think you latched onto it, and why I latched onto it, is that there is this, it's contagious, right? Not to link it too much to the contagion going on with the pandemic, but we have the ability, it feeds not only these individual moments, but we pass it on, and it helps at a societal level. Because this is part of our hard wiring, that this bonding is what helps our species thrive. There's all kinds of positive things that happen to us from a biological standpoint. So not only does it make my day a little brighter, your day a little brighter, and then we go on and do that. And it's not false positivity. It's real connection.
And so my brain right now, Lisa, just sprung into, because I think when we first touched on this subject, I was looking at it, I think, from, the social media point of view. If you flood your feed and have a bunch of rants and very political, or now issues around pretending you're an infectious disease specialist, and going into all kinds of places where you don't really know a whole lot about, and basically, I call it, dirtying and muddying the water with nonsense, and talking about issues you can't control anyway. Or you can brighten the feed. I'm a big believer, you already know, brighten the feed, because in the midst of all this, there's good things happening. There's lots of good things happening with respect to the human spirit. But what just hit me now is, as workplace cultures turn into Zooming cultures, positivity resonance really impacts how people connect with each other in their new workplace. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's harder to create in this virtual world, right? Because we're not getting that biological um, component as readily. Like we can still get a good approximation for it. And part of what we have right now is the shared experience. We can connect on this, our emotions on this. I think um, we're having to address this in the work world. So we're getting a little more real in our conversations. Um, and when you talk about brightening to the feed, to me, I also think of something that Dr. Howard, our company founder, one of them, and his wife Jane Howard, he always talked about the Peeny Ratio, and I would laugh when I heard the Peeny Ratio.
The Peeny Ratio?
It's positive emotional events to negative emotional events. Peeny.
Positive. Sorry, do that again. I'm a little slow up here in Canada.
Positive emotional events.
PEE. Yeah, okay, got
The
it.
ratio of that to negative emotional events.
The Peeny Ratio.
So I
Oh,
think it's a common term, and yeah, a psychological term, and it's supposed to be overall 5 to 1. But guess what? Our brain has this inherent negativity bias, right? That's why the negative news works for us. We actually hold on to negative events, negative information, negative emotions longer. They stay within our brain. Again, not a brain specialist, but I'm telling you what I know. Now, the positive emotions, they don't as readily. So brightening the feed in the way that you say is helpful. Like it's upping that Peeny ratio. And also, like, in terms of practices to be able to hold those positive emotions better, when we have that positive emotion, to kind of savor it for 15 seconds, it locks it in our brain and also helps with diminishing that negativity bias.
I'm really loving this, Lisa, because suddenly something just clicked. Yes, the Peeny Ratio suddenly sounds like something that business leaders in particular now have to be absolutely conscious of, because they have to demonstrate, if I look at history, that I think that's what Winston Churchill did. I think that's what Franklin Delano Roosevelt did. They had to project very positive emotional energy to inspire people around them during, whether it was the Great Depression or the very darkest days of World War II. Is this the same thing with company leaders and business leaders have to wrap their head around?
I think so. I mean, for me, it became most evident as a parent of teenagers, really watching that ratio, because it can get hard. But absolutely. And again, the key is its sincerity. So when we think of Winston Churchill, it's more like we are in this together. He did a really good job um, of creating the community. We are doing it. It's hard. We are doing this together. We are making sacrifice together. Um, and that in itself is a positive for us as humans. It's important to control that ratio on our own. Like when we talk about being able to create positivity resonance, it's also, as Barbara talks about in this book, and I think we know from accessing it, there's things that we do to keep ourselves kind of cleaner, if you will, or be able to create that field. And one is like really thinking about that positive to negative event ratio and trying to up your ratio. It's, we hear the 3 gratitudes, what that does to write out your 3 things you're grateful for at the end of the day, and how that can increase your levels of happiness and well-being. And in her book, now this is for the meditators, she talks a lot about the brain, the biology, what happens in the brain when you practice loving kindness meditation to keep that field of resonance open. And that's simply when you just, like I would in my meditation say, Gare, may you be healthy, well, and free. Just that, what that does to the brain is really cool.
And I can't help but think, Lisa, because we met back in Charlotte, North Carolina, where you're from and based, and you're part of that great Vistage group with Marty Stowe, that launched this whole series of conversations, to be honest. Can you speak a little bit to anyone who's watching this, the need, especially if you're a business owner and leader, to be around like-minded peers like you are in your group? Because I know Marty and your group have really come together like quickly. I was there to watch the war room mentality that happened on Thursday, March the 12th. But can you speak to that a little bit and how it connects with some of these findings?
Yeah, so I think that, like we said, the precursor for residents is that there has to be a feeling of safety, and we have this safe, caring group. That mutual concern was there from the get-go. So that allowed, and some people that just are very upbeat. I mean, you saw that. So when we're going through, these past few weeks, because we've had that field there, we feel safe to talk about the tough things that we're dealing with as business owners. We're able to access the laughter more readily. And there's been a lot of laughter too, and really able to share in an open way. So it's like an energetic field. I've seen it referred to as like a Dr. Spock mind meld. So
Hey, besides Marty, any group members you want to give shout outs for who are really helping adjust the Peeny ratios?
oh, all of them. All of them. I couldn't leave anyone out. We each do it in our own way, I think. There was one other thing. Oh, the one thing that I want to tie back is that this requires constant nurturing. This isn't a one and done, right? So as Barbara Fredrickson talks about this being love, like we think about love being reserved for our intimate relationships, right? For our spouses or partners and our family. But this is democratizing love. But it's available, like it's these micro moments that we have to keep nurturing. So it's not just a one and done.
Yeah, that circles me back to how you've got to be able to illustrate, though, not just a theoretical, a live example. And since you can't talk about everyone in your group, why not throw Marty under the bus? What's your Marty moment that you could share with everyone to give us a firsthand understanding of what it's like to be in the war room and how all this comes together?
I don't know if I mean, there's plenty of fun moments with Marty, but he has said from the get-go that when he decided that it was a war room, and part of that came, I think, because we had been talking a lot about Churchill. I had recently been in London and went to the Churchill war rooms, and was just, I knew I love, not love, but I am a World War I and II history buff like you are, but not nearly as detailed for sure. So when I went to the Churchill war rooms, I was like, oh my gosh, I was telling him about it. And so I think that's maybe part of how we ended up in the war rooms where we meet weekly. But what he said is, he said, no one goes down on our watch. We are all in this together. And you know what, as a business owner, when we're trying to stay strong for our teams, to know that we have that was huge.
Suddenly, just the way you said it, because I was in the room that day, I can already imagine that injection right there suddenly makes you feel 10 feet tall and bulletproof, Travis Tritt, and then you're ready, more emotionally ready, to tackle some of the serious, hard issues that business owners are facing. Any final thoughts, Lisa, on how anyone watching today can take the power of positivity, resonance, and really go forward and up their game, as it were?
Mm-hmm. I think we're all trying to find meaning right now, and how can we serve and how can we make a difference? And sometimes we strive to do things that are too big and give up, right? This is something little and small, but the impact is huge and it's contagious. So why not?
Yeah. And thank you so much, Lisa, for sharing that which is contagious, because I'm going to run around for the rest of the day and just talk about, the power of, how's your Peeny ratios go? You get a new idea, man, you gotta share it out there. But all kidding aside, Lisa, thank you so much for doing this. Lisa Dunbar from Paradigm Personality Labs. They're all over the world. Lisa is one of those terrific people that you really want to know, you want to connect with. And she, like so many other people in the business community, are here to help do whatever it takes to really help move small business forward so that we can all lead better together in these most historic times.